Yo. So my definition of detachment has changed, and I'm realizing this. Before, when I thought about detachment, I kind of thought about it as more like having no emotions, or just not having your emotions attached to anything, or even like nothingness, um, or even just neutrality. I would argue like, what if detachment is also like surrender, flow, detachment through surrender, or detachment through release, you know? Um, and I got a couple ways to think about it. I always think about it in terms of like, I think about myself, like my journey, my spiritual journey, as I think of like myself as like a nomad, like a spiritual nomad. What's a nomad? A nomad is someone who travels different environments. You know, you could say a wanderer or a voyager, or someone. You could say that they don't have a home. But the thing is, for me personally, I've built this sense of home within myself to where, like the saying "home is what a heart is." That's literally the case for me. So I feel like I can be anywhere. You know what I mean? And be good. Have the sense of home within myself, be in any environment. And the thing about it is, like, when you follow your heart, you're following your intuition. And in a way, you're also flowing, you know, you're trusting. Even if things logically don't necessarily make sense, you trust in your heart. Like, you know what, I feel the need to go here, to do this, or speak up about this, or create this, whatever it may be, you know? And my stuff blowing over. I hope y'all can't hear the wind. Um, it's hella windy. What was I saying? Oh, following your heart. The thing about following your heart is that it takes you places. It often takes you places that you didn't expect. You know, um, and symbolically thinking about like a traveler or a spiritual nomad wandering different places. You could, because I follow my heart. My heart told me to go to this place and that place, and I ended up going in this desert where it was very arid and barren, and no, not a lot of life. But there's like every now and then I find an oasis. Then I follow my heart brought me to this other place where I went to this tropical rainforest, this jungle where there's an abundance of life and water and food and fruits, you know. But then also follow my heart brought me to another place where there's frozen tundra, where there's snow, and it's a lot harder to get resources and food and whatever. You know, that's those locations for me. I think about it as like symbolic of like the human experience, like going through different areas of the human experience, whether it's human emotions, like um, experiencing grief, experiencing joy, experiencing pain, experiencing loss, experiencing accomplishment, um, community, experiencing isolation. All these different areas of life, different emotions that make up the human experience. Um, that's how I feel that following your heart. Basically, I feel like following your heart naturally brings you through all these different things. Um, just like a traveler, someone who's following their heart brings you through different areas and travel. And the thing is, I feel like we experience these different things. We go through these different areas of life to experience them and learn from them, not to get attached to them. You know, yeah. There's a lot to learn. There's so much to learn, so much to experience. And we all experience it in different ways, you know. And basically, what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say is that detachment. feel like allows you to flow, allows you to experience these different things. And I feel like where we get caught up in the cycle, in like the human cycle, is when we do get caught up, when we do get attached to one area of life, we do get caught up in this spiral of grief, of loss, of pain, of trauma, whatever. Or it could even be in greed, you know, fame, luxury, money, you know, which there's a balance to everything. Like these things aren't necessarily bad by themselves, but when you attach yourself to them, you know, and stay in those locations, those areas of life, or you can think about it as also dimensions of life. I feel like that's where you can get caught up and get stuck. So for me, detachment has been useful because for me, it's been a detachment through surrender, through flowing. Allow myself to flow through different areas. It's like I said, the number one is following my heart and trusting, so that when I'm in these different places, these areas, locations, emotions, sectors of life, of human activity, it's like I'm good no matter what. I know I'm good. And I allow myself to feel, and okay, let me tell you, I feel like I'm missing one of my points. I feel like detachment isn't about being emotionless. I feel like it's actually like the opposite. It's just not getting attached to your emotions. And I've had 2 dreams recently, one today or this morning and one yesterday. One dream I had was, long story short, when I was a kid, man, I used to love drawing and like making animation and flipbook animation and stuff like that. Specifically with flipbook animations, you know, you get like some post-it notes. You draw one, and move a little bit, draw again, move a little bit, draw, and then you flip them. You make a, you know, like a little animation. Man, I used to love making them, and it was actually good. Like I was talking to my sisters recently, and they remembered. It was like, yo, that was actually. I remember you was like 9 years old, making all the little flipbook notes, whatever. Anyway, for a while now, I've been wishing to find them again, because when I was about 12, long story short, they got lost in storage. I hope they didn't. I hope it's somewhere like in the house, my people's house or whatever, and it didn't get lost in storage. But anyway, I've had this hope for the longest to find them again. And I still do. I hope I do find them. That'd be amazing to see. But anyway, just for that context, I've been wishing for this thing that I lost, that I created, that I lost years ago. I've been wanting to find it again, because I've also been reconnecting with my inner child and everything, you know. Anyway. So now for the dream, from what I remember in the dream, I was in like one of my childhood homes and going through storage or whatever. Or I don't know, I just found it somewhere. I found the flip note, one of my flipbook animations that I made from when I was a kid. And as soon as I found it, yo, I was so happy. I was so excited. I was like, yo, I found it, yo. You know? And I picked it up and I looked at it and I flipped it and I could see the animation. It was like somebody doing whatever. I think it was football or something like that, or dancing, I forget. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. I remember making this when I was little. Like, wow, this was good. This really was good. I made this when I was like 9 or whatever. Wow, that's crazy. And I was so excited. And I flipped through it. And I remember just being like, man, I can't wait to show my family and friends. Like, I can't wait to show everybody what I made. Like, yo, I'm so excited. But then then I flipped it again. And the second time I flipped through it to look at it again, like I said, I'm all excited and happy. The second time I flipped it, it just literally crumbled in my hands. Turned into like this, like, I don't know, paper mache dust or whatever, and just literally just crumbled. And I remember just being like, yo, like, what the heck? Like, yo, damn. But then it was like, oh, it is what it is, you know? And it's real quick. The second dream I had was this dream kind of similar to like how I've been yearning for my old pastimes, my old creations, my old flipbooks I used to make, like finding them and enjoying them. I've also been kind of yearning like lacrosse. Lacrosse for me, it was such a huge factor for me. Like just sports in general, but especially lacrosse, it really helped me through rough times, and definitely I could say like kind of filled the void in my life when I was away from my family. Kind of got split up from my family and shit. So that was something I could direct my attention and energy into, something that was like constructive and part of a community, and all that. So anyway, I've been wanting to play lacrosse for like a long time again. It's one of those things where like, and I found my lacrosse stick again. And every now and then I just get my lacrosse ball and just cradle or whatever every now and then. Just pacing around. I don't know, it's very, comforting, I guess. Also, it's reminding me of my inner child when I was younger. Anyway, in this dream, long story short, I forget exactly what was going on, but it felt like it was like kind of like a tournament or something, or like intramural lacrosse we was playing or whatever. And I remember in the dream being so excited to play after years of not playing. I'm talking about like on a team or playing with other people, you know what I mean? And it was like we was waiting for our turn to go, and finally for my team, it was finally our turn to go, and we was all heading there. But I remember on the way there, something like held me up or something. I had to go back, or I had to do something, or it was something that happened. And so, but then by the time I got there, I was so excited. Like, okay, I'm ready. I already knew I was late, so I'm like, yo, I'm ready to play, ready to jump in, and get in the face off, But then I see everybody walking back. They're like, oh yeah, it's over. Like it's done. I'm like, it's done. They're like, yeah, it's over. I'm like, for real? You're like, damn, like yo, like what the heck? Like yo, I was so ready to play. But then it was like, oh, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Basically, those two dreams is just showing. This is the way I interpret it as, is just for me, just showing my growth. That even in my dreams is showing how detached I am from stuff, to where it's like I feel how I feel, about certain things. I allow myself to feel my raw emotions as I'm experiencing them, but I do not attach to them. I allow myself to feel it, whatever I'm feeling. Like I felt that was a roller coaster of emotions, but both those dreams or just a very high and a very low emotional states I was in, where I was so excited, something that lit up my inner child within me, and something I've been longing for so long to have, just for it to be like gone, It was like, dang, that's tough. But you know what? I know I'm gonna be good. I know I'm gonna be just fine, And I don't know. I feel like our dreams often, you already know, dreams can be a whole wild card. They can reflect how we feel inside our subconscious, and there can also be some outlandish stuff that's unrealistic and we won't have no idea about. And I remember when I first had those dreams, I couldn't think about what it meant till today. So it kind of became clear today to me. It's just my interpretation of it. So, but I don't know. I feel like for me personally, I've been experiencing. It's kind of like I experience and then like detach. Experience to detach. Experience and detach. Now, I'm not saying like that's like the right way. I'm just saying that's just what I've been observing recently, and I feel like I want to talk about it on here. To where it's like I experience things, feel how I feel, and learn what I was meant to learn from it, while somewhere in there eventually detaching from it. you know. It's like, man, I experienced this thing, whether good or bad or whatever, you know. But then, you know, it's like I appreciate what I learned from this, or here's what I learned from this, and I appreciate what I learned from this. But I'm not attached to this. I'm not attached to this experience. And also with that, along with detachment from that, while I'm experiencing it, also be like I said, how like I allow myself to feel the emotions, how I feel like it's good to allow yourself to feel your emotions. It's also being present at the same time. You know, it's real interesting. It's like experiencing and being present and allowing yourself to feel all the raw emotions, but then also allowing yourself to learn from it and fall back and detach, you know, and learn. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself now, saying the same thing, but yeah, that's the main message, man. I just, you know, I'm not saying my way is the right way. I'm not telling nobody what to do or how to feel, how to think, but I'm just providing my perspectives, stuff that I've been going through and experiencing. So, yeah, I feel like detachment is also through surrender and flow. So, anyway, that's all for now. Peace.